The film begins in 8000 BC. Humanity lived in tribal communities, with no access to modern technology. At that moment, a spaceship appears on Earth. Everyone flees in terror upon seeing it, except for one young boy who, instead of running away, is drawn towards the ship. As he approaches, a beam of blue light emanates from it, and the boy vanishes. Centuries pass, and the story moves forward to the year 1928. We now see the Great Pyramids of Egypt, symbols of how far mankind has progressed from its primitive tribal origins. Humans are no longer wild, and their civilizations have evolved greatly. During an excavation around the pyramids, archaeologists discover strange ancient artifacts. Among these is a large metallic sphere, so baffling that no one can quite discern its purpose. Beneath it, they also unearth the remains of what appears to be an alien being. At this point, a young girl named Catherine is introduced. She is the daughter of the excavation project's head. During the dig, Catherine finds a golden locket, which she decides to keep. Time marches on, and we arrive at the year 1994. Dr. Daniel Jackson, an Egyptologist and linguist, is now introduced. Jackson is fluent in several ancient languages. During a speech, he declares that the pyramids were not in fact built by the Egyptians, but by an entirely different entity. The audience scoffs, and everyone walks out, refusing to believe his theory. Catherine, now much older, seeks out Jackson. She's the same little girl who, back in 1928, discovered the golden locket during the excavation. After decades of research, Catherine is still working on the same project, now called Stargate. As the project head, she invites Jackson to join her team, explaining that they need someone who can decipher ancient languages and understand relics of the past. Jackson agrees and travels to the research base, where his journey of unlocking the secrets of the ancient language begins. So, Jackson quickly corrects some ancient words on the board that had been wrongly translated. His ability to do this in mere seconds impresses everyone. At this point, Colonel O'Neill steps in and announces that he is now the head of the project. This means that any work conducted will need his oversight and approval. Jackson is then shown a massive stone, the same one unearthed in the pyramids of Egypt in 1928. Beneath this stone is the circular metal object known as the Stargate. Jackson studies the symbols on the stone, but he struggles to fully decipher them. One day, while a guard is reading a newspaper with star images on the back, Jackson notices a diagram of the Orion Belt. It's often said that the Egyptian pyramids are aligned with the stars of Orion. Jackson suddenly realizes that the symbols on the stone are not written in a language, but are, in fact, a star map. It's a three-dimensional guide for traveling through space. He explains this discovery to the team by drawing a 3D cube on the board, marking 6 key points, and linking them together. Jackson states that the central point allows for travel to any destination. However, someone raises the question, but to reach the central point, we need a 7th coordinate. Where is that? Jackson reveals that the 7th point is Earth itself, meaning our planet is the key. He shows a picture on the stone resembling a pyramid with 2 figures beside it. He clarifies that the 2 figures are irrelevant. The pyramid itself represents the 7th point. Someone else then asks, but how do we use this 7th point within the device? It's not actually a physical location. Jackson realizes they already have the key, the Stargate, that metallic object. He's taken to the lab where he sees the Stargate in motion, meaning it has been activated. Jackson recognizes the 7th symbol, which represents Earth's location. Following Jackson's instructions, they lock each of the 7 symbols onto the Stargate, one by one. When the 7th symbol is locked, a wormhole is activated within the Stargate. Everyone is thrilled by this achievement. They then place a tracking device inside the wormhole to determine where it leads. Soon they discover the device has traveled to another galaxy, arriving at a place very much like Earth. There is another Stargate on the other side, but the writing there is entirely different. This poses a major issue because if the team were to travel through the Stargate, they would not be able to align the correct coordinates to return, due to the unfamiliar language. Jackson assures the team that he can solve the issue and get them back safely. With this confidence, Colonel O'Neill, Jackson, and their entire team prepare to travel through the Stargate to the other world. As Jackson is packing his belongings, Catherine approaches him and gives him the golden locket her father discovered during the 1928 excavation. With the locket in hand, Jackson and the team step into the Stargate. Moments later, they emerge in another world. This world also contains a Stargate, and they find themselves inside a dark, pyramid-like structure, resembling those in Egypt. After taking a moment to adjust, the team realizes they want to return to Earth. However, Jackson informs them that the key to their return, the sequence of symbols, was found on the stone tablet excavated on Earth. Without a similar tablet in this world, they can't plot a return course. The team is now stuck, and frustration begins to set in. One of the soldiers, angry with Jackson, picks up his bag and throws it. As Jackson goes to retrieve it, he notices footprints on the ground, indicating the presence of others in this world. Following the trail, he soon encounters a strange animal, tied up with a rope, suggesting it's a domesticated creature. Just as he begins examining the animal, the rest of the team arrives. Jackson explains that it's a pet and gently pats it 3 times on the neck. This turns out to be a signal, and the animal suddenly starts running, with Jackson's leg caught in its rope. He is dragged for quite a distance before the others catch up. When they do, the team realizes they are not alone. They stumble upon a group of people, primitive in appearance, much like how humans lived on Earth 3,000 years ago. The group is cautious but intrigued by these newcomers. One of the tribesmen notices the golden locket around Jackson's neck, the same locket Catherine had given him, found in the 1928 excavation. Upon seeing it, the tribesman immediately bows before Jackson. Soon after, the tribe's leader arrives and invites the entire team to their settlement. Once they reach the village, they discover a large circular metal object marked with the same symbol as the one on Jackson's locket. This is the symbol of their sun god. The villagers believe Jackson and his companions have been sent by this deity and treat them with reverence. That is why the people bowed before Jackson. Later, the villagers gather for a ritual at night, and Jackson is dressed in strange ceremonial clothing as part of this tradition. Afterward, he is led to a room where the chieftain's daughter enters. She begins to undress, but Jackson politely stops her, telling her she doesn't need to do this. Instead, he attempts to communicate with her, drawing a pyramid in the sand to explain where he comes from, but she doesn't fully understand. Moments later, the girl draws a similar pyramid in the sand, adding a sun above it. Jackson realizes that she knows the location of the place he's trying to find, the one that, when correctly aligned, could lead them back to the Stargate and Earth. Jackson gestures to her, asking where she has seen this place, and the chieftain's daughter leads him to it. Soon, the rest of Jackson's team joins them. As Jackson examines the walls covered in ancient writing, he begins to understand the language and shares what he learns with his companions. He reveals that thousands of years ago, an alien from a dying world fled to Earth, desperate to extend his life. This alien traveled between planets until he arrived on Earth, where he found early humans. These humans, much like the tribal ones they had encountered, were frightened of the alien's spaceship. However, one brave human approached the craft, and the alien transferred his consciousness into the body of this human, effectively taking on a human form. Afterward, the alien, now in human guise, declared himself a god and king over the humans. He commanded the construction of the Great Pyramids and used the Stargate to bring many humans from Earth to this other world, enslaving them to mine a special mineral that powered his advanced technology. In fact, the people in this world are descendants of those ancient humans, and the language they speak is a version of ancient Egyptian, preserved for thousands of years. Jackson also explains that as humanity evolved on Earth, they eventually rebelled against this alien, known as Ra, who had posed as a human. They buried the Stargate on Earth to cut off his influence. While exploring, Jackson and the team find a capsule with the sequence of symbols they need to return to Earth. But the 7th symbol is broken, preventing them from activating the Stargate. At the same time, a huge spaceship arrives and hovers above the pyramid they are in. This spacecraft, shaped like a pyramid but far larger, lands directly on top of the structure. The pyramid serves as a docking station for the alien craft. From this spaceship, aliens emerge. They attack, killing 2 of Jackson and O'Neill's comrades, and take the rest hostage. Jackson and Colonel O'Neill, along with their 2 companions, head towards the pyramid. Shauri, the chieftain's daughter, who was offered to Jackson, also follows along with some of her companions. As the group of 4 nears the pyramid, they are shocked to see a massive object landing on top of it. As they enter the structure, they are suddenly attacked by strange, faceless beings. Jackson and Colonel O'Neill manage to make their way to the base of the pyramid, where their Stargate is located. O'Neill seems to be searching for something, though he doesn't disclose what it is, even when Jackson asks him directly. Before they can get any further, a group of aliens appears, capturing the 2 and taking them to another location. Here they encounter another alien, who is clearly the leader of the group. This is Ra, whom the people of this world worship as a god. Ra takes his seat and removes his mask, revealing that he is a boy who journeyed to Earth 3,000 years ago. This boy took control of the alien's body and has remained as youthful as he was then, becoming the deity known as Ra in this world. Although he possesses a human body, he is not human in mind or soul. He is entirely alien. Ra's forces bring forth a bomb that Colonel O'Neill had intended to detonate. Ra, having discovered their plan, has now taken control of it. O'Neill seizes an opportunity to grab a weapon from one of Ra's guards and tries to attack Ra. However, Several children appear around Ra, preventing O'Neill from carrying out his attack, as the children are always kept near him. Seizing a moment, Jackson throws himself in front of Colonel O'Neill, sacrificing himself when Ra's guards attempt to kill him. Ra, arriving just in time, orders the guards to stop and imprisons O'Neill and his remaining companions. Ra is now furious with humanity. From his pyramid, he launches flying machines that attack the nearby human settlement, resulting in significant loss of life. The tribe's chieftain believes that Ra is angered with them, which is why the destruction is happening. Meanwhile, inside the pyramid, Jackson is shown emerging from a strange box. It turns out this box can revive a person by restoring their senses, essentially bringing them back to life. With the help of this advanced technology, it also keeps the body eternally youthful. Now alive again, Jackson confronts Ra, who explains that O'Neill had brought a nuclear bomb to the planet. Ra reveals that he plans to send the bomb back through the Stargate to Earth, increasing its power 100-fold using his technology to destroy the entire planet. Jackson asks why Ra would do this, and Ra arrogantly responds, "I created that world. Your world developed because of me, and now I will end it." Ra further explains that the next day, he plans to summon all his workers to the pyramid. Before they can question him, Jackson will be forced to execute his companions in front of everyone, proving to the people that Ra is their one and only god. When Jackson refuses, Ra threatens to kill him and his companions. The next day, the tribals, who are all Ra's slaves, gather near the pyramid. Jackson's 4 companions are brought in front of him, and he is expected to execute them before the crowd. One of Ra's men keeps a close eye on Jackson as he slowly approaches his companions. A young boy from the crowd, armed with a gun, points toward Ra's men, indicating that some of the villagers have chosen to stand with Jackson. This is because Sha'uri, the chieftain's daughter, has revealed the truth to the people. Ra is not a god, but an alien who has enslaved them. Seeing the villagers' support, Jackson decides to attack Ra's forces instead of surrendering. The armed children in the crowd fire into the air, causing chaos, and everyone takes advantage of the confusion to escape. That night, they take refuge in a cave. O'Neill's companions confront him, asking why he brought a nuclear bomb on the mission. O'Neill explains that if there had been any sign of danger, he would have sent them back to Earth and detonated the bomb. He reveals that he plans to go through with this plan the next day. Meanwhile, William, Jackson, discovers that Sha'uri has been given to him as a wife, according to their customs. Although surprised, William realizes he loves her and accepts her as his wife. The next morning, Sha'uri's brother shows the group a picture he drew on the wall, depicting their planet with pyramids and 3 moons. William suddenly understands that this image contains the 7th symbol they had been missing, the key to returning to Earth. With the correct symbols in hand, they can now activate the Stargate and go home. However, one of Ra's masked men emerges from the mines to collect minerals. Colonel O'Neill kills the man, which terrifies the enslaved people. Believing Ra to be a god, they kneel in fear, apologizing. O'Neill presses a button on the dead man's armor, causing the mask to come off, revealing that Ra's servants are not gods but ordinary men. The villagers, now realizing the truth, see that they have been living under an illusion for years. Jackson, O'Neill, Sha'uri, and some children make their way into the pyramid, carrying the mined minerals. When Ra's guards appear, they fight back, defeating them. The group then heads to the location of the nuclear bomb. O'Neill activates the bomb and instructs Jackson to return to Earth with the others, promising to stay behind and ensure Ra is destroyed once and for all. As they prepare for their final stand, one of Ra's soldiers kills Sha'uri. Distraught, Jackson kills the man, but is devastated by Sha'uri's death. Suddenly, a blue light appears, the light of Ra's teleportation technology. This device allows people and objects to be transported instantly from one place to another. A soldier of Ra is using this technology to retrieve the nuclear bomb. Jackson, familiar with this technology, stands under the light, taking Sha'uri's body with him. They are teleported to the chamber where Jackson had previously seen Ra's resurrection technology. Jackson uses this device to bring Sha'uri back to life. As they return, Ra sees them, and in a final attempt to defeat them, touches a control panel, causing a powerful current to surge through him. Meanwhile, O'Neill is fighting one of Ra's guards, who teleported down using the same technology. O'Neill cleverly lures the guard to the teleportation chamber, and at the right moment, activates the device, causing the guard's body to be torn apart in the teleportation process. His torso remains below, while the upper part is sent back to the ship. Outside, the villagers have risen in rebellion, just as humans did long ago on Earth. Ra, realizing his reign is over, tries to escape. His spaceship begins to lift off from the pyramid. O'Neill attempts to deactivate the bomb, but Ra has altered its settings, making it impossible to stop. With only seconds left before the bomb detonates, O'Neill sees the torso of the man with the teleportation device. He quickly places the bomb underneath it and activates the teleportation. Ra, now aboard his ship, watches in shock as the bomb teleports into the spacecraft. With only seconds to spare, the bomb explodes, obliterating Ra and his ship. After centuries of ruling over Earth and enslaving the people of this distant planet, Ra is finally defeated. The villagers, having gained their freedom at last, rejoice. In the end, the Stargate is reactivated, allowing the survivors to return to Earth. However, Jackson decides to stay behind, choosing to remain with Shauri, whom he loves. Before they leave, Jackson gives O'Neill the locket Catherine had given him, asking him to return it to her. O'Neill and the others step through the Stargate, returning to Earth, while Jackson begins a new life on the alien planet with Shauri. Thus, the story concludes with freedom restored to the enslaved people and Ra's reign of terror finally at an end. That's it for today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe to watch more interesting recap videos. Thanks for watching.